Welcome, Divine Woman, to the Happiness Formula Mini Masterclass. The 3 simple steps to help you feel better right now. So I'm really excited to dive into this, and I have been really thinking recently a lot about happiness and what does it take to actually break free from stress and anxiety and depression and unfulfillment, and how I can possibly cultivate an easy framework for you that will allow you to feel significantly better no matter what you are currently going through or what's ahead of you. And I want to definitely pre-surface this with the fact that I know that globally and personally, we are all going through really difficult times, really challenging times, right? So at the time of this masterclass, we are going through COVID-19. We are going through global pandemic. We are self-isolating, and the whole world is on standstill. The whole world is fearing their own health, fearing the loss of their loved ones. You might be someone who have lost their work. You might have lost the source of your income, or there's maybe a lot of strain in your family, a lot of emotional difficulties among your family members. And of course, there is this global uncertainty around what is ahead of us on a personal level, on family level, on societal level, and it's definitely a lot to take. So I want to be really mindful of the stress and the difficulty and the anxiety that you might be experiencing, and at the same time help you understand how you can start significantly improving the level of your happiness beginning today. Hi Sheila, hi beautiful. So one of my huge awakenings into happiness has been, and I'm curious if you've seen the movie, The Life is Beautiful. The Life is Beautiful. So this is a movie that has been made, I think in like 40s, it has been made in 97, but it's situated in the Second World War, where there is this, I think he was like a bookkeeper, Italian bookkeeper, and he is in a Nazi concentration camp himself with his son. And this man uses his creative imagination to create like this a whole day ongoing play for his son inside of the Nazi camp. So he is ultimately psychologically protecting him from the horrors and the atrocities of the concentration camp. And when I saw it, I think me and my husband, we've seen it together like 7-8 years ago. It brought me to tears. It absolutely awakened something so deep inside of me to see like the depth of human suffering, the depth of, abuse and insult and atrocity and, burning people alive. So not burning people alive, but killing people alive. And someone uses, in spite of the terror, the power of their mind, the power of their, creative possibility thinking to literally like make this hell on earth possible and livable for their son. It's beautiful. If you haven't seen this movie, I highly encourage you to, get it on Netflix or download it and watch it tonight. So incredibly powerful. So when I've seen that movie, and at that time I was going through quite a lot emotionally and psychologically, I was kind of in the depth of my own healing, in the depth of my own trauma, in the depth of my own personal development. And I was really struggling at that time, feeling good and feeling happy each and every day. It was like always like this 1 step forward and 2 steps back, really struggling with, being able to feel good in my body each and every day. But when I've seen that movie, I was like, wow, there has to be something, there has to be like this formula to like really using the power of our spirit, the power of our psychology, the power of our mind, the power of our imagination to feel tremendously better. And that movie actually was one of my awakenings into starting to study neuroscience and positive psychology in a deep way. Hi, Annette. Hi, beautiful. Because I wanted to create that fairy tale that this man has created for his son. I wanted to create that in my own life. And my own life was like, 10,000 times better than this man and his son possibly waiting for their death in concentration camp. I was like, I want to create this fairy tale in my own life. So what I want to share with you today, it's a very simple yet profoundly powerful framework that when you start applying, you can begin to feel a huge shifts in the level of your happiness beginning today. And that's the power of this formula. It's really simple, it's really effective, and it gets to the core of the matter. So if you're excited like myself, let me know in the comments below. Show me some heart, show me some excitement. I want to see that you're like pumped to learn about the happiness of formula, because we are diving right into this. So when it comes to creating more happiness, feeling better, experiencing more fulfillment, it boils down to three simple things. The first one is you have to give yourself better feelings. The second is you need to tell yourself better stories. And the third, you need to act on your inner knowing. So let me recap that. First, give yourself better feelings. Second, you need to tell yourself better stories. And the third is you need to act on your inner knowing. So if we look at ancient psychology, we look at modern psychology, we look at the neuroscience, we look at the Buddhism and the Tantra, and really merge this together. The giving yourself better feelings relates to emotional happiness. Telling yourself better stories, giving yourself better narrative relates to psychological happiness. And then acting on your inner knowing relates to moral happiness. So here we are like creating an intersection between emotional happiness, psychological happiness, and moral happiness. And the power of this is every step of the way, like if we have these three foundations, right? The better feelings, the better stories, and acting on our inner knowing. They so deeply interrelate together. We can literally create like this continuum circle, and one feeds to another and the second one feeds to the next one, and it's really like this foundational powerful circle. So if I am generating better feelings, if I'm creating better feelings inside of me, and I'm going to tell you exactly how to do it, then I'm telling myself better stories. And when I'm telling myself better stories, that actually propels me to taking a better action that's in alignment with my inner knowing. And the better action I am taking, it increases my levels of happiness. It increases the level of good inner feelings. So let me give you an example. Let's say you want to feel amazing in your body, like you want to, eat clean and have a best diet and, exercise well, because you just want to feel good. You want to feel healthy. You want to be activated. You want to be alive. You want to be sexy and confident and beautiful and feel incredible inside of your body. So when most people approach weight loss, they are like, let me do the action, right? Like, let me hit the gym and let me take care of the green smoothies and let me, watch the weight scale. And all of that is good and valid. But if this is not integrated with me actually having a better feelings that I'm generating for myself and creating a better stories, creating a better psychological narrative, it's an action that is without the emotional and psychological foundation that is necessary for the action to be sustained. So if instead of taking that approach, I start with creating better feelings inside of myself. And this is actually a process I teach to my students. I teach it to my clients. I call it a high vibrational emotional state, which is the idea around this is that you are the only person who can generate your happiness. You are the only person who generates inside of you the anger, the sadness, the depression, the joy, the ecstasy. Of course, our environment and things that are happening around us, the news, the job losses, trigger with a partner, or my mother, I get into argument with my mother, all different things, they can impact what is happening for us internally. But at the end of the day, it's my own state, it's my own nervous system, it's my own state of being that's actually generating and producing those emotions. So one of the process I teach to my students and clients is to train themselves to be in a high vibrational emotional state. And what that looks like is you choose the emotion of your desire. Let's say it's happiness. For this happiness formula, let's talk about happiness. So you say to yourself, Dagmar, I want to feel happy. So what you do with this, happiness being the high vibrational emotion, is you use intentional power of a positive trigger. So for instance, you take a bracelet on your right wrist, if you're right-hander, on your left wrist, if you're left-hander, and you basically, this bracelet, it's your positive intentional trigger around you being in the state of your choosing, in the state of happiness. So I put a bracelet of my right wrist and I command from myself to be by choice in a state of happiness for next 12 hours. For next 12 hours, no matter what is going on. No matter if my toddler is screaming at me, no matter if I have 10,000 emails I need to respond to, no matter if, Trump is yapping and getting really upset, I am choosing to stay happy. Now, during those 12 hours, when I find myself going through my day, and when I find myself, slipping in a state of depression, slipping in a state of unresourcefulness, slipping into a state of anger, slipping in a state of shame or sadness, this bracelet is literally my trigger of either in that moment I catch myself and I bring myself back to this moment of choice, the moment of I am generating happiness inside of me right here, right now. Now, if I catch myself that maybe, I've lost being conscious, I've lost being in the state of happiness for a substantial amount of time, and maybe I have been drowning in misery for the last hour, and I become conscious of that, then my bracelet goes from the right wrist to left wrist. I'm switching the hands, and my clock, my 12 hours clock begins again. Now, first time I've done this, it took me, I believe, 12 and a half days. It took me 12 and a half days of training myself to be in the state of consecutive happiness. And it was some of the best 12 and a half days of my life. It was the best 12 and a half days of my life. Why? Because I was training my nervous system, same as a runner would train for a marathon. I was training my nervous system that my happiness is not conditional. My happiness is something I generate in myself, and it is up to me to feel good. It is up to me to feel happy. And I have the energy and like this warrior power to train myself into better states of happiness. So if this is a new concept for you, what I'm inviting you is choose the emotion, probably happiness, if this is a happiness formula and this resonates with you in a deep way, but it can also be self-love. It can be courage. It can be peace of mind. It can be, you know, deep connection with my loved ones. You choose your emotion, you put your bracelet, and you actually start training yourself that you are the one who is choosing your emotional state. So that's the part one. Now, the better I feel, right? The better I feel on the inside, the better stories I start to telling myself. So going back to this weight loss premise, if I want to lose weight and I am not waiting for me to be happy until I have the 10 pounds less or I have the slimmest waist ever, but I am happy now. I am demanding the happiness of myself. I'm creating the happiness on the inside. Then the story I'll start telling myself is, even when maybe on a day my hips are achy and I know I need to do my workout, instead of being down on myself or saying this will never work out, I'm such a loser, I'm too tired, I don't have energy, instead I might say, okay, right, I have stiff hips. So let me maybe do some stretching for a little bit, or let me do some maybe self-massage or self-mobilization, and then let me step so my hips feel better and I'm relieving the achiness, and then let me step into my workout when my body actually feels like in a more optimal state. So what happens when you're feeling better, the stories you start telling yourself are stories of possibility, are stories of inviting the options and the choices and the scenarios that are actually in alignment with where you want to be. What happens when you feel like a shithole day, right? Or you're just like drowning in your misery, the stories you're gonna tell yourself over and over again is that this will never end. Like, I will always be in pain. I will always suffer. My husband always sucks. And more often than not, when we are in very unresolved state emotionally, the story we tell ourselves is a story around always and never. It will always be like this and it will never end. My suffering, my pain, my anxiety, my trauma, my abuse of alcohol will never end, or I will always be fat. I will always not be in a relationship. I will always feel broke. I will always be in financial misery. So we tend to stay in the story of always and, what was the other word I said? This always and this like never end, which completely closes the possibility consciousness, completely closes this creative imagination that I was sharing with you at the start of this live, that really inspired me in the movie of Life is Beautiful, but the guy, in spite of the fact that they were meeting death every moment of every day, he was so tapped into his creative imagination, and that is what was making the life for his child possible, instead of his child like falling emotionally apart and being petrified of his next day. So we have better feelings, we have better stories, and when I'm telling myself better story, I'm gonna start act on the inner knowing. So when I feel happy and I'm mentally supporting myself, I'm psychologically supporting myself, I'm way more likely to be regularly hitting the gym. I am going to, pursue, one of the things I started to do recently is started to drink celery juice as the first thing in the morning. So there's a powerful body of work from Medic Medium, a full book on celery juice and the impact of celery juice, specifically drinking like 16 ounces of celery juice first thing in the morning before you've eaten. It's incredibly healing for literally every single organ, every single system in the body. And that is one of the new habits I started to adopt a couple of months ago, and has been a remarkable impact on my mental cognition, on how I feel, on how I move, on my energy levels and all of that. So what happens with better feelings, we tell us better stories, and the better stories lead to better action. If I know there are many of you in the group who struggle with not feeling lovable. Maybe you have, been through painful breakup or painful divorce, or you have been single for quite some time, or maybe you are in a relationship right now and you're really, really struggling, and there is this feeling of unlovability or not feeling deserving of love. So in that space, what are the stories that you tell yourself? I will never get the love I want. I am just not lovable. Or the mind tends to go even like taking the pain or the wrongness on the person outside of you. It's like, my father did this to me, or it's because of my abuse in childhood I am the way I am, and things will never get better. And again, we are in that space of never get better. So if I'm not feeling lovable, I am building stories, I'm building a psychological narrative to justify that feeling. And what is the action I'm going to take? Like, is my outer action going to align with this deep desire inside of me that is to feel profoundly connected and loved and intimate and like just be creating with my partner something that I cannot create by myself? Absolutely no. It's gonna keep me hiding in the bedroom and maybe like eating a full tub of Ben and Jerry's and just drowning in my misery. So the better you are at demanding of yourself the level and the quality of your feelings, the better stories you're telling yourself, the better action you are taking outwardly in alignment with your inner knowing. And guess what? The better action, the better you get to feel. The better action you better get to feel. So this is all interconnected, and it is the ultimate formula for happiness. So if you want to start feeling better today, not tomorrow, not when COVID-19 ends, not in 18 months, not when the vaccine comes in, if you're the pro-vacciner or maybe you are anti-vacciner, I'm not going to bring the vaccine conversation here, but like wherever you're on the spectrum, tell me in the comments below, what is the one action you're going to take from this live stream, from this masterclass, and start applying it today. Start applying it today. At the end of the day, our lives are results of what we practice. Our lives are results of what we practice each and every day. If I practice anger every single day, I'm gonna get really good at being an angry person, right? If I practice numbing my emotion, like stuffing my emotion down, I'm gonna get really good at being depressed. And this is not to, minimize people who have severe clinical depression, but this is to say that that general depression that is so widespread globally, even before COVID-19, even before this isolation and fear and not knowing what's ahead of us came in, there's a lot of studies that actually really support the knowing and this understanding that suppression of your emotion leads to depression. It leads to the suppression of life force inside of you, because your emotions are energy. Your emotions have life in them. Your emotions have a lot of force inside of them that always have some guidance, some internal knowing, some GPS, some message for you in a really, really powerful way. Now, if we practice this, hi Cass, hi gorgeous, if we practice happiness, guess what? We become so much better at being happier. If we practice self-love, we become significantly better at loving ourselves and honoring ourselves. If we practice, taking a marvelous care of our bodies, we become incredibly healthy and resourceful. So our lives are over and over again results of what we practice each and every day and each and every moment. And this is not to say, you have to be perfect. We have to get this nailed down. That's why I also shared with you this training yourself around your emotions, right? It's a training, it's a process, it is a way of developing yourself. But I'm really talking about this, like the spectrum of how you feel, the spectrum of what you practice, the spectrum of the stories you tell yourself over and over again, the spectrum of the action that you take that it's either not in alignment with your inner knowing, because you might be so disconnected with how you feel and how you want to feel in the first place, or it's fully in alignment with your inner knowing, that I can tell you this, it makes life incredible. The truth is that you can be happy now. You can be happy in this moment. You can generate the happiness inside of you today, this morning, this afternoon, this evening, tomorrow, if you're watching on replay. You can generate happiness now. The happiness is something that you create for yourself, that you create inside of your nervous system, that you create inside of your body, your mind, your heart, and your psychology. And you have an incredible power, incredible potential of creating tremendous and exquisite happiness for yourself each and every day. So if this is something you want to really explore way deeper, if this is something you want my hand, my support, my guidance, is like, you know what, Dagmar, I've been really struggling with what I'm going through. I've been really struggling with stress and anxiety and pain and depression, and the struggles of the world have been really getting at me, and I really, really need support. So in that, I would love to invite you to book in for a free Flourishing Woman strategy session, so I can connect with you in a really, really deep way, in a really, really meaningful way, and map out for you a process, map out for you a healing plan that will actually allow this, what I shared with you, make really real in your life, in your body, in your relationships. To me, that is no time like right now to strip away the distractions, to strip away the pain, to strip away the suffering, to strip away this busyness, this emotional, mental busyness, and actually start focusing on what really matters. Your level of happiness matters. And this is not about, creating like this fake states inside of yourself. But what we know from studies after studies after studies is that people who feel happy, they experience more health. They are healthier physically. They have better physical health. They have better mental health. They have greater quality of relationships. They are more deeper with their loved ones. They are more intimate. They have more intimacy and more fulfillment in their relationships. And I'm here to say that your happiness matters. Your happiness really, really matters. So book in for the call. You can see the link in the description of this video. You can also reach out to me. Feel free to reach out to me privately on Messenger. I love connecting with you in this way. And let's start creating your happiness today. So in the comments, let me know what is the one thing you're taking from this live for yourself today, and what is the one thing you're gonna start applying from the happiness formula into your life, so you can significantly begin to increase the levels of happiness and become truly the flourishing woman who feels sacred, nourished, and incredible in her body each and every day. So if this video also has, you're like, oh my God, my sister, or maybe my cousin, or maybe my colleague needs to see this. Maybe she has been struggling. She has been going through a lot. Feel free to invite them in this group so they can watch this masterclass. They can get this formula, and they too can start optimizing the level of happiness and fulfillment and vibrancy in every cell of their being. Sending you much love, gorgeous woman, and let's start creating more happiness in your mind, body, and heart today.